There you go.
Okay,
yep. Thanks.
Great. My name is Kate Zen, and I am the director of an organization called Red Canary Song. We work with migrant massage workers, mainly in New York City. And I didn't plan to speak here today, but I noticed that there is no Asian representation or Asian American sex worker representation, and so I just wanted to speak up about the particular degree of police targeting that is happening right now with my community as migrants. I'm a second generation sex worker. My mom worked in massage parlor work. I went through Columbia, studied software engineering, but also fueled my way through school through sex work. And I personally experienced violence on the job and found that I couldn't really report it, and was told that I might lose my scholarship in school if I were to actually talk about the violence and make it public. And so I got into this work partially because I just see that there's a community of people who repeatedly are targeted by extractive practices, both from law enforcement in Queens. So many of workers say that they have been robbed by police, they have had money taken away, they have been sexually exploited by police, and on top of that, they're not in very good labor conditions. So I want to show that, just talk about the way of talking about how to improve labor conditions as a better way of addressing the issue of trafficking, because there are really important issues that need to be addressed when it comes to long hours, when it comes to people who are not being paid fairly, when it comes to debt bondage. But the way to address those issues has to come from a labor stance. It has to come from listening to the people who are engaged, and criminalization actually conceals those crimes and makes it harder for people to seek justice. Right now in DC, there's organizations like Polaris, in New York City, like Sanctuary for Families, that is launching an attack on Asian women right now and doing trainings with police, telling them that there's trafficking happening mainly within Asian massage parlors. This is incredibly racist. This is the second time in history we're seeing this happen again. It's leading to literal death in people in my community. Massage worker Song Yang was killed in Flushing during one of these raids and had been abused by police and also by people who posed as police officers. And a lot of sex workers can't tell the difference between one or the other. And under criminalization, that's the kind of suffering that we put people through. One other thing I want to talk about was recently I went to Sweden, and there was the first protest bringing together sex workers from Sweden, Ireland, France, all the countries that had Nordic model, and people finally did research and data collection, which is the most comprehensive that has happened under the Nordic model, showing that actually it has very much harmed migrants. Services have not been enough, and under the Swedish model, people have been pushed underground, and especially trans and migrant women have been killed. And so this model very clearly demonstrates that it is harmful to sex workers, and it does not reduce trafficking. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Ms. Zen, right? Are you going to write down your testimony?
Yeah, I'll write it down and send it in.
Yeah, we'll need it as part of the record, and everybody we need everything written down. I know you guys were jumping in this without signing up and whatnot, but it's really important we have it, because my staff, myself, we all take the time to read through the testimony again, so that we can actually stay in tune with what's happening.
How do we submit that?
If you can send it by whatever is easier for you, you can do print, hard copy, you can email.
Email.
You would go to judiciary@dccouncil.us.
Thank you.
And my staff is right over here. We could write it down for anybody who needs it.
And and I just wanted to give Ms. Zen an opportunity. You've heard now all day conversations about the Nordic model, and you were able to respond quickly at the very end of your time. But I would like to hear more about you were just there, I think, and there's this new study, and I just want to hear more about this.
So this was the first comprehensive. So if you look at the actual government studies in Sweden about the Swedish model, there is no way of they have not proven that trafficking has actually decreased. And when you actually go to Sweden, the people who say that they've been most hurt by the Swedish model are migrants, sex workers. They say that the reason that they have false trafficking statistics in Sweden is because migrants are deported usually before the 36-hour period in which they're supposed to have a evaluation to see whether they've been trafficked or not. Instead, as soon as migrants are arrested in Sweden, usually under guise of looking for trafficking, they are automatically deported. And so migrants are the most hurt under the Swedish model. On top of that, other countries that have adopted the Swedish model, including in Ireland and in France and in Canada, sex workers are saying that this is hurting them. People have been pushed underground. In France, a trans sex worker was murdered because she had been pushed so far out of the city that she's had to work in the forest. And, she was an Asian trans sex worker who had been working in really difficult conditions, and under the Nordic model, everything just became so much more difficult. And so I want to just emphasize again, like, a lot of sex workers are migrants. A lot of people are working because they don't have status, and this may still be the best job for them given the limited options. So there's a range between this like binary of coercion and consent. Like a lot of people, most people operate somewhere in between. And what they need are labor protections, labor rights. The way that the sex industry looks now and the types of coercion that people do experience and the types of manipulation, that's not acceptable. We need to have a better industry, and that only happens when we treat it like other industries and we eliminate people that are exploitative, we eliminate managers that are extractive. This can only happen when sex workers are treated like other workers and treated in equality with dignity with other women and other human beings. And so
thank you, Ms. Lynn. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Again, thank you all very much. I appreciate it.